when you have to keep something and you don't need it in everyday access, what you can do is a tool that we use called VeraCrypt. Now, I'm going to show you how to set this tool up because it's a really valuable tool. I want to make crystal clear, though, this is an encryption tool. And what that means is it'll scramble everything that you put into a folder, and only you can read it. It's not going to be something that you have for all of your working files. And I'll explain that in a minute. But basically, this is for all of your archive. You can dump it all into an encrypted folder. And then if I were to come on as a bad guy and we're doing a pen test, I would not be able to see that data. So it helps you a great deal. All right, VeraCrypt. Let's break it down. Okay, so we have this virtual machine, and we're going to use this today as our guinea pig. VeraCrypt.fr/en/downloads.html. That'll land on this VeraCrypt website, VeraCrypt.fr. Go to downloads. You're going to click on this VeraCrypt setup, the current installer, and that'll download. When that downloads, you're going to go and just start running this. So we're going to do VeraCrypt setup. Now, this setup is not overly difficult, so we're going to hit next, and we're going to agree to the terms. We're going to install. This is fine. So pretty much just next all the way through this. All right, so now that is done. Now, this is an open source tool, so if you want to donate, this is a pretty great thing to donate to. All right, we're going to hit finish. I don't need to read the tutorial. I'm going to go to my recently added. Let me just pin this here because we're going to be going in and out of this. All right, VeraCrypt. Now, we're going to create a folder. And if you have Dropbox or OneDrive or one of those types of tools, I would highly, highly recommend that you put your file in one of those tools. And the reason why is that way it's syncing, it's backing up. Now, in this case, this is just a lab machine that I created that has absolutely no accounts on it. So I don't have my Dropbox or my OneDrive or any other services on here. This was created just for this demo. So what we're going to do instead is I made a dummy folder. It's called mock_OneDrive folder. This is basically what it would look like if I had a OneDrive account on here. So I'm going to go into my OneDrive folder, and I'm going to make a new folder called VeraCrypt. And good. Now, what this is we're going to tell it what kind of a virtual drive it's going to be. And what I mean by that is when you go into your computer and you see your different map drives, we're going to say the Z drive is what we're going to use. And when we go to here, we're going to create a volume. Now, you can leave most of these things default. So we're going to say create a standard. The volume location, this is where you're going to pick what we just did. So the OneDrive folder, VeraCrypt. And then we're going to call this my special file encrypted. Now, again, this is just an example. I literally have mine called VeraCrypt. You should probably be a little more sneaky about it, but again, it's multiple layers of encryption, so I'm not overly concerned. However, you can just call this whatever you want. So Jeff's VeraCrypted file or just whatever. All right. So now it knows that is called my special file, and it's in this mock OneDrive folder, and we're going to click next. This encryption by default is good, so we can just leave that alone. And I would recommend, if you have the space, to do, say, a 200 gig drive, maybe a 100 gig drive, whatever it is. My personal VeraCrypt folder is 100 gig, I think. Now, since this is just a virtual machine that doesn't have very much space, I'm going to say it's a 10 meg file. So hit next. Okay, this is the most important thing that you will do now. We want to choose a password that is incredibly difficult to guess. 40 characters is a good, I think they recommend, it should be It should be easy to guess. A random combination of uppercase, lowercase, consisting of 20 characters or more. The longer, the better. The maximum possible password length is 128 characters. So I would recommend that we do 40. This is where you're going to use your password tool. So that's LastPass, KeePass, whatever it is that you use. So I use LastPass. So I went into my LastPass and I made a file. I get a picture here. So I went into my LastPass password generator, said generate a password. I'm going to save that in my password tool so that way I have it because you will need it. Now this is just this dummy one that we created. So I will copy this and then we'll go over here and we will paste. All right, this is really important. So what this does is we want to move our mouse around and we want to do, this is building the cryptographic strength of the encryption keys. What that means is we have to move our mouse around as much as possible because that helps generate the encryption keys. So start signing your name, possibly, maybe do, your kids' names, whatever it is, do back and forth, whatever. And you're wanting to do it for about 30 seconds. The longer you do this, the better your encryption will be, which is really important if you're trying to make sure that this has the possibility of somebody getting into it is minimized. So let me... Okay, for the sake of this, we're good. Now, format. What it's going to do here is build the volume that we created. Okay, it's been created and we're done. Now, I'm going to go into Z Drive and then I'm going to say select a file. We'd never want to save history because we don't want to give somebody the path to where it is if they get onto your machine. We're going to select a file. And again, we're going to go into mock OneDrive folder, the VeraCrypt file, my special file encrypted. Now it's going to ask for a password. Hit mount, copy your password from your password manager. Do not make that password something that's easily guessable. Don't save it on your desktop or on your computer. Okay, now this is encrypted. So what that means is, let me just close this. Now look at this, we have a Z drive. It looks just like a regular hard drive or an external hard drive or anything else that you would normally see. This looks just like something that you would work with, right? I want to go back here to our mock OneDrive folder. Let's see what that looks like if I'm just on your computer here. Okay, so it's a file is what it shows. And it shows it's 10 megs. There's no seemingly extension. That's kind of odd, right? If I'm looking to see what this stuff is, let me go back out of here. Let me get into my Z drive. Let's throw some test data in there. So inside of that folder, I just have some tier 3 logos. Let me go in here and okay, here, I'll move this on there as well. Okay, so those are encrypted. That's in my Z drive. Okay, beautiful. Now, we put stuff into our backup archive folder, all right? Now we're going to dismount it. On-the-fly encryption means that it's not saving that to your disk. So now that I've unmounted this and I'm a bad guy, I wouldn't be able to get into that data. So, and if you have all your sensitive information that you don't need in running memory, which means if you don't need it in your regular day-to-day operations, you would put it into your archive drive or your VeraCrypt folder. Then when you do need it, you go back in here. Oh, I need to select the file. You go back in here and you mount your special file. Okay, and there's our data. Now, let's go back to dismount because we don't want to keep that mounted. Otherwise, the bad guys could get in and see all that data as well. So we have that dismounted and we have no Z drive, but let's go back to here and see what that looks like. So I can't double click and open on it. It's going to say, how do you want to open this? Okay, let me just try WordPad or Notepad. How does this open? It's struggling here because this is basically an encrypted volume. It's trying to decipher how to open this data. And it's probably just going to crash it out because I don't have very many resources on this machine. Let me see here. Even though I only have a couple of things in there, it still shows it's a 10 meg file. There we go. Okay. 10 meg file. So there's nothing there. I can't do anything with that file. And this is what it looks like. If I'm a bad guy and I copied that file, this is what I would see. A bunch of gibberish. So I'm going to say close that out. And again, I can't find anything in there. Even if I were able to figure out where you keep your special file, as long as your password isn't also saved on the computer where they can find it and it's in your password manager, that's a pretty good deal. So I'm gonna go back into VeraCrypt and I'm gonna select the file, go into my mock OneDrive, mount. All right, cool. And now we're back, right? Cool. Now there's a couple things here that I want you to realize is, if you keep it open like this, anything in here, if I'm a bad guy, I can just open it up and read it like I would any other drive. The other thing is, when I open, say, this file, it doesn't actually write it to the hard drive. It only unlocks it on the fly in memory. And then as soon as you close it, it re-encrypts it and it's gone. It doesn't live on the computer. This is really kind of high-level geeky stuff. And I'm probably not doing a very good job of breaking it down into as layman terms as possible. But the idea here is this is a really powerful tool, and it's a really, really strong tool that is going to help you guys with protecting your data. Now, the biggest red flag thing that I can tell you on this or any other encryption tool, if you lose your encryption key, you are screwed. There is nobody that can help you. So if you need help with this, reach out to us. We can help you. We can put your key into the documentation. We can make sure that you have it in your LastPass or your KeyPass or whatever password manager. But if I just go in here and I delete this file, that's it. That data is gone. Whatever was in that folder, my Z drive, whatever was in there is gone. Now, again, you would have backups, and you would have, this is in your OneDrive or your Dropbox or Google Drive, and so you would have some kind of retention policy in there. But my point is, if you forget your special key that you use to create it, there's no helping you. So really, really important thing. And we want to dismount it whenever we're not using it. All right.